Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Baka Podcast.
Baka.
It's amazing how every time you open your mouth, you prove you're an idiot.
Cool, that's on my Godzilla hat, though, guys. My new Godzilla hat. I had to
Oh,
wear
I love it.
It's amazing.
Thank you, it is. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Baka. I'm pausing like there's a bit here. There isn't. There's no bit.
That is the bit.
The bit is I'm going to search for a bit and never find one.
The no bit.
I like that. We are an anime podcast where every 2 weeks we watch an anime and we come discuss it right in front of your ear holes so that you can listen and then tell us why we're right, why we're wrong in the comment section. We're just really starting the conversation. You're carrying it on. That's the purpose of the show. And this week we watched Kaiju number 8. And to discuss it, I'm going to need the help of my co-host. We have the nuclear breath to my Godzilla. He's Jeremy with his giant kaiju-sized take.
That could almost be an insult, like kaiju breath. 95% of hot takes are actually ignorant takes.
I like that.
That
A little
is
ignorant for you to say. What?
Yes.
Or arrogant.
Well, yes. Well, they're mostly mine. There, that eliminates the arrogance.
And we also have the sticky, stringy webbing of Mothra. To my Mothra, it's Jason with his flying giant-sized take.
Wow, that was executed professionally and with just pristine precision.
Is that the bit? Is that my bit?
Definitely rehearsed.
Definitely came to this prepared with that particular line.
I wore a hat with a kaiju on it for this. Very prepared.
Very prepared. Anime does not do comedy well.
Have you seen Konosuba?
As a whole.
Oh, okay. Have you seen Konosuba?
Should we drill down and make sure this isn't a racist comment?
How is he racist?
Well, is it?
Oh, like Japanese don't have humor.
Yeah, is it because it's from Japan? Is it the manga is funny and when it's adapted to anime, it's not funny anymore? Like, why is anime not funny, Jason?
The comedy animes I have seen thus far, besides Konosuba, have not been impressive. Therefore, I'm making a general statement about the art in general and not the people making the art.
I do have a feeling it's mostly a cultural difference of how it lands.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Space Dandy was hysterical.
There we go. Look, I'm just proud that I made that a hot take in a completely different way.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Thanks for making it racial, you jerk.
And my name is Troy. All right, let's talk about this.
The pollution to my smog monster.
There you go.
That is a good one. My kaiju hot take is that there's too much anime. We need less of it. I think there's an anime bubble and it's about to pop. I don't think studios can keep up with how much they're putting out. I think they're getting less for return for their buck because there's too much for people to watch. I think the good animes are being made and being completely missed out on by audience because one or two flagships steal all the attention. One Piece, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen. And, stuff like Odd Taxi gets missed even though it was worked on very hard. Sunny Boy.
Odd Taxi.
Okay, real quick sidebar because you said My Hero Academia. I saw a not clip, but like a
screenshot.
It was like a commentary. Does Deku like lose his smile later on in later seasons? Like, does he become like a hardened warrior?
Oh, there's spoilers in that, man.
Okay. Well then.
He goes through rough times.
He has an arc.
He
Call it that.
I'll just say he has a vigilante arc.
Okay.
Uh,
Where he's not happy.
things are rough on the boy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when Jeremy called dystopia and turned out to be right, it's pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go, Deku.
That is true.
Show me your scary world.
Well, My Hero Academia is going to come up in the podcast because we're doing a shonen battle anime, and I have some things to say about other shonen battle anime in comparison. But let's get there and start off with our non-spoiler reviews of Kaiju number 8. And this was picked by Jason, so he's going to go first.
This was fairly, I don't want to say formulaic, but there wasn't a ton done here that I haven't seen before. However, not only did I thoroughly enjoy it, but the character building and character motivations were fresh, and they felt good in the way they were portrayed and the actions that the characters took. There were some definitely MacGuffins and story beats that were like you saw coming 3 miles away. However, once they were executed, they felt good. If you want a decent battle anime, this is definitely it. It's pretty good. I liked it.
I want you to know that Jeremy yawned during your review. You need to spice this up a little bit.
I didn't.
Keep it interesting.
I hope someone throws this in the trash.
I'm sorry.
Jeremy records from a much later time zone than the rest of us.
Yes.
So excuse his rudeness. Jeremy, what do you think of Kaiju number 8?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I know, right? Put you guys right to sleep. Turnabout's fair play. No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. The formula is a good formula. like I'll agree. It's totally like there's some predictable moments, and just overall, what they've done is not super new, but there's a lot of little beats in here that I like. The character development is really interesting because you expect a certain thing. Like you get the impression that they're going to go one way with the characters, the trope, right? But then they make the characters more human, more relatable, more, I would say, realistic than you were expecting. I mean, it's still an anime, and they're still not really going for realism, but they're more believable than some of the more egregiously tropey characters I've seen, and what I expect from the introduction of the characters. They seem like they're gonna be tropey. Yeah, it's just there's some really exhilarating fights in it too. Like I haven't been so caught up in a fight scene in a long time. I don't even think I was really that immersed in the fight in, like, say, Demon Slayer or some of the others, Jujutsu Kaisen.
How dare you?
Yeah, I really wasn't. I really wasn't. And I can't say that for all the fights in this. Really, there was just one fight that's just a standout star for me. Maybe two, but one for sure. But it's just something about the combination of the music and the art direction and the choreography of the fight, and just very well done. Hits all the right notes. Maybe it's cheap. Maybe they're just playing off of known emotional responses. But man, it feels good.
One thing that kept popping into my mind as I was watching this was like, man, this feels like Guyver. I know I'm reaching way back.
Yeah,
like
I know of it, but I haven't.
I think that's like 90s, but
Yeah.
Or Blue Beetle, right? Where
Yes.
you've got an unwilling participant getting superpowers. That's basically this anime.
Mm-hmm.
So, just to preface my review, for the first time ever, I've read a manga before we watched an anime. And I've been joking with these guys that I'm going to come in here all hoity-toity. I actually don't feel that way. I don't feel like I found the superior version of this story. I will say, and I felt both ways reading it and watching, I like the anime. I'm very much entertained It felt very light. Maybe the word shallow, but I really don't want to put a negative spin on it because I'm having a good time watching it. I just didn't feel like it was deep. My one big concern, which I had mentioned to these guys before we even started recording, is with so many battle shonen anime in the world right now, how is this going to stand out? And I don't feel like it does anything, at least yet. But My Hero Academia manga is about to end. It's got like 3 chapters left.
I don't believe it.
It's
I
true.
know. It's gonna be like Attack on Titan. It's the final season. It's the final season. It's the final season. It's the
fourth final season.
The mangaka came out and said these are my final 5 chapters, and it was like 2 chapters ago, or 3 or 4, depending on when this released. Jujutsu Kaisen's in its final battle, even though I mean they could go to like a whole another arc after if they wanted. I think they're almost done though. So maybe there's a room for a fresh face. Even Undead Unluck, I feel is approaching its ending in the manga. I caught up on that manga. I had to keep going, and I actually read that one.
But you shared with us that one's so wild.
It's crazy. But that kind of is where I came at from Kaiju number 8. It's actually why I started reaching Kaiju number 8. Is I finished Undead Unluck, and I'm like, all right, I need something new, and I started reading it. Yeah. Oh, I just it's become like, hey, I need a quick 5-minute break. It's on my phone, so I just read like 5 minutes of a chapter is all it takes for manga. I'm not sitting there analyzing the art. I'm just like read, scroll. Okay, cool. It's a cool story beat. I don't know if this is doing anything to make itself that special. I think it can be, and I'll mention that in the spoiler section. But it didn't this season. Also, I've only read as far as the season went. I actually stopped because I realized I don't want to know spoilers when we did this review. So I get to start reading again. I'm actually kind of excited about it. All right. Opening and closing. Nobody.
I actually like the opening the closing better than the opening. The opening was interesting to watch like the first or second time, but like, I don't know, the hard 3D animation felt janky, and I wasn't impressed with it. Also, I didn't really get much story beat from it. Song was good, but I kind of like the ending better. But that's my take.
I only watched both of them once, and that's actually by accident because I was meaning to watch them again, but they both stuck with me. Like, and that doesn't happen very often. Usually I'm just like, I forgot it. Even when I try to remember. The intro, I totally agree. The 3D graphics were a little bit janky, but to me it came across as the messaging over and over again of like orderly DNA structure being violated and corrupted with chaos and evolution and things just changing out of control and evolving into the next stage and into the next stage, which I mean that works with the main character changing into a kaiju, which that's not a spoiler. So
I think it's safe enough.
Oops.
Yeah. Oops. So I liked it for that reason too. It made me the imagery kept coming back into my mind, and I really wanted to go watch it again, but I really want to click that button too because I want to see what happens next. And the outro is really cute. When I watched it, it was on the first episode, and I was like, "This is going to be an important character, right?" No. But it was still really cute, and I loved the old like Windows 3.1.1 desktop callback.
Yeah.
That was really cute. I've never seen that approach to showing you shots, like still shots from, scenes from the anime. So it's stuck with me for that reason.
So other than giving me member berries for Reboot, the cartoon, because that's how janky the CGI was.
Yeah.
The intro, I didn't watch it a whole lot. Like I watched it a few times, but I listened to it every time. I go back to like prepping my notes or something. Very similar with the outro, especially as someone who had read the manga. I saw it. I'm like, I don't remember this character. This kid. What is this outro? Also, it has had nothing to do with the song, even though like you could do almost any of the main characters' relationships and it'll fit that song. And they chose to make the animation about the lab analyst looking at photos.
Yeah.
Like this feels really disconnected. About the music.
I wonder if it's what's happening in the last couple episodes.
As they're prepping to.
No spoilers.
Spoilers. I want to say about the music. I think both songs aren't good songs. I think they're overproduced. With that said, I love them and listen to them over and over again. It's like liking a Nickelback song. You're like, yeah, I recognize it's a Nickelback song, but also I kind of am digging it. Can you just let me have it?
Yep.
Yeah. So they both got added to my playlist. So whatever.
Right next to Nickelback.
Very nice.
Look, to be honest, I'm really upset that I have a One Republic song on my playlist. But that nobody, it's catchy. It gets me every time. All right. Before we go on to an actual spoiler, our next anime is going to be Go Go Loser Ranger. Jeremy, is this 12 episodes?
Yeah.
Cool. So no part 1, part 2 here. So yeah, Go Go Loser Ranger. I watched Mother's Basement preview of it at one point, and I don't remember much about what it was like. It's like a comedy about, Power Rangers, where the bad guys like start their own something.
I don't know how seriously it takes itself. I think it's like comedy.
Right.
It's action sci-fi, so it may not be all that much comedy. But the premise kind of reminded me a little bit more of The Boys.
The Boys. Let's
Mhm.
hope not.
Yeah, I don't think it'll go that dark, but just in the sense of just in the sense of like, are the good guys the good guys, or are the good guys also the bad guys? Are the bad guys the bad? Are there any good guys? That kind of thing.
As someone who's watched The Boys, I've seen things.
Yeah.
You don't come back from.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so that'll be our next anime. Now we're going on to spoiler section. Spoilers for Kaiju number 8. No spoilers past this season, though. You're welcome. That's called self-control. Okay, I think I read like 2 chapters past this, but it really doesn't.
No self-control.
But that's like half an episode. Just so you know, manga chapters are not long. They're like
that's
10
true.
pages, and then Actually, I want to try to talk about how time works, because at times I'm like, oh yeah, this is going really fast. I'm like, oh, they're like stretching this one page out really long, which I've never had the experience of before. Anyway, we'll get to that. Spoiler warning has been dropped. We're in modern day Japan, and a kaiju is attacking the city.
And the people are so slow to respond. The people on the bridge. I remember watching this episode and I'm like, do you guys not see the back of the kaiju? Do you not see it in the water? It's almost to the bridge. Okay, it's on the bridge now, and you're dead. You didn't even move.
But also, like, they show shots of the populace who are more like, ooh, Division 3 is going to show up. We'll get to see.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they're more excited about the Defense Force, superheroes. They're not superheroes, but, they have that kind of relationship with the public who are coming to defeat the kaiju. And we see them kill it with one shot. The division leader kills the kaiju, and then we cut to the cleanup crew. And, bisecting this thing down piece by piece. And our main character, Kafka, he gets assigned to the bowels, and because he's really good at it. And this is our main character, Kafka. By the way, he's going to turn into a kaiju later. Your guys' thoughts on Kafka?
I liked him. I it it felt kind of personal.
Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah, we need to
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah, I think what I really appreciate about the anime is it is kind of speaking to an older generation that just because you're of age, because he's 33 in the anime or 32,
32.
that you can still not just accomplish things but reach for higher goals. And I thought that was a nice message. However, there's plenty of scenes him like trying to keep up with the younger people, like just jogging. He's just like, he's like,
I felt
can't do
that.
it. Yeah, right.
Look, okay, I just want to ask. So,
Sure.
not that they really got anything wrong about like stuff that's
Right.
happened to your body at 32 years of age, but I had my sense was this is what a 17-year-old thinks happens to a 32-year-old more than a 32-year-old telling a 17-year-old what happened. And I'm sure the mangaka is probably, older, but it just felt like a young person's point of view on what old is.
I could see that. And I think one of the other things that kind of frustrated me about this character is just how freaking whiny he is. I really didn't like there were multiple moments where he gets emotional, but there's no stoicism to it. There's no age or maturity to those emotional moments. It felt like he reverts to a 17-year-old. And and it discounted some of the more serious, believable moments that he does cry, and it's heart-wrenching because they've done a very good job of establishing the backstory and his history with the other main characters, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. That was the part that I didn't like about the way he was portrayed. However, his character growth and his character arc were good, but they have the same problem that I've had with other animes where someone loses an arm and 4 scenes later they're trying to do a silly joke and like drawing them all out of proportion to get a laugh out of the audience. And I'm just like, what do you want to be, anime? And so I don't know. The seriousness of some of those moments felt a little stolen because of his immaturity.
I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from. I saw him very much as like a living hello, fellow children, or hello, fellow teenagers meme, right?
Yeah,
Where
definitely.
he wants to be one of the young, cool kids, right? And so I, like you were saying, Troy, about maybe it's from the young person's perspective. This is what you'd expect. I don't know. I mean, I was there in the 30s when you start getting a tire around the belly, and you start getting tired and not having the energy to go do the exercising that you would have done before, and your body just isn't responding with the same, comeback. Pains come sooner. So I don't know. It's
Bigger.
Yeah, that seemed pretty accurate to me, even if it was from a youth's perspective. I think you got pretty close to target. And then as far as like his behavior, just because he's got some serious issues of never growing up, and I think that's part of his arc, is that he's never had the stoicism or fortitude to follow through. There's one scene near the end where he admits to himself, yeah, this is where I always fail. The last moment where I need to be depended on, and I give up. And so I kind of saw that as him never taking that stand as an adult and deciding that he's got to stick with his values and whatever he's decided to do, follow through. So I didn't mind too much when he was being childish. Also, for me, the art style was okay because I see that as just an artist's way to try and exaggerate emotion. And sometimes that works better for me than having an accurate rendition of what the character is going through, just because I can laugh more at the silly exaggerated version, whereas I think I would be uncomfortable or maybe just not find it as comedic. Perhaps it would be too subtle for me. So there's definitely like a glaring approach in their in the way that they animate sometimes, and it works for me.
Really, I had the exact same thought that Jason said when I was thinking of what a 7-year-old thinks. Like, yeah, you're hitting all the correct notes on, you get tired faster, you don't recover faster. Yeah, you have functional muscles, but things are starting to fall apart on you no matter what you do. All that's accurate, but the mentality isn't there. And Jeremy, you're right. It's clearly showing that he is immature for his age, that he hasn't grown like the way he's supposed to have. But it also is like, then you almost have no reason to make him older in the first place. Like, he could be 20 and it'd be almost the exact same story with a minus a tire joke and I'm a tired person joke. And I think that's where I came from, that thing. Like, there should be even being immature. And as a 40-year-old man who hosts an anime podcast with my buddies, I'm immature. I know what it looks like, but there still comes, I think, a level of wisdom. At 32, I hardly knew anything, but I knew a lot more than when I was 20. And at 40, I can recognize that. And at 50, I'll look at this and be like, I was an idiot. That's the way it goes.
Yeah.
And it really comes with his relationship with a much younger character, where he's like standing side by side with him and being like, yeah, we are the same. And his character's like, no, we're not. you are much the elder. And he's like, nah, we are identical in our mindsets. And I'm just an anime protag with a belly. That's the only thing different about me. However, I did want to say, I very much like Kafka. He's a very likable character. I very much enjoy him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rooting for him all the way. Other than that like, I feel like this is what like a younger person thinks you're like at 32, not recognizing the little bit of wisdom that would come at that time. He's a very enjoyable character.
I think the other thing that kind of, and I agree with you, Troy, that he was very enjoyable to watch. There were a couple of quirks I didn't enjoy myself, but for the majority of the time, yeah, I'm rooting for him. I think the other thing that kind of is a little bit of stretch of disbelief for me is that I spent 10 years in construction, and I know what a 30-year-old or a 32-year-old is like in the construction industry. And cutting up monsters every day and having to deal with large handheld equipment, Kafka would be much stronger than he's portrayed in the anime. He would also be much more aware of safety, and like he's pretty good with that. But he'd be even more so. He'd be even more wise. But that's my opinion.
No, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's like there's some little bit there, like it's hinted at. You could even point to like specific scenes and say like, see, they do it. It's just there's not a consistency, and I'm sure it's an older person looking at it and being like, it's not quite right. And that's all it is. But at least he's not like as abrasive as a Naruto or something like that. He's
Boruto.
He's definitely not as abrasive as Boruto. Well, maybe just not as boring as a Boruto.
I think I prefer young Boruto to young Naruto. Young Naruto is tough to get used to when you first start watching the series. He is a brat all through and through. Anyway, it doesn't matter. How's Krillin doing?
Losing another fight, probably.
Still upset about that, are we?
Let it go, Jason. All right. So our main character, Kafka, who is going to turn into a kaiju, he meets young rookie. What are these guys called? Cleanup crew worker, Ichikawa, who everyone's like, hey, this guy, he's gonna apply for the defense force like you did, so you guys will get along. And Ichikawa's like, Yeah, no, that guy gave up, and I'm never gonna give up. So that guy sucks. And Kafka's like, hey, whoa, but Kafka does kind of take him under his wing and help him out, even though he has a hard first day, and Kafka helps him out, and they grow to respect each other. Ichikawa's second main probably would be the primary protagonist in many other anime. Your guys' thoughts on him?
So this character is a stunning example of what they do with nearly every character in this anime. He comes onto the scene, you immediately identify his trope and what he's going to be and whether you're going to like him or not. And then the anime goes, oh, by the way, we're going to turn this corner. And so this character comes on the scene as the just like you said, Troy, the standard protagonist. I never give up, but he's a little haughty about it, and he's kind of judgmental. And then they pull him into this character arc that's awesome. That not only does he learn from his elders, and he learns how hard work gets you to where you need to go, but also that renews his determination to become stronger. And dependable as well. So he's got all the values and virtues of a protagonist as well. So he was enjoyable to watch as well.
Yeah, this anime really plays with your first impression. Don't trust your first impression with most of these characters. He was great. Watching him, I didn't think there would be room just because of how many characters there are in this anime and how many of them are powerful and play important roles in combat, which seems to be the most important part of this anime. So I didn't think he was going to have room to shine, especially when we get a measurement, we get power scaling and find out that he's only at 8%. I was loving it. And I love that they kept doing it. Give me numbers. Yes. Troy's gonna hate this.
Another anime with multiple power scaling levels. We have your suit level. The kaijus have their own power level, and then you have to compare the two. Yeah.
Yep. And so seeing them still find some way to bring him into the spotlight was interesting, and I thought they did a good job with it. And his personality is great.
He's the one character I don't like.
Oh no.
Nothing you guys said is wrong. He just rubs me the wrong way. He's like, hey, I'm young and I'm brash, and then every time we see him, they're like, oh, he's advancing, but we didn't see him advance because he's not the primary. Well, actually, no one really advances. They just time skip and like, hey, here's the new percentage number on his suit. The other day, I was walking my dog, and my neighbor's house right before my house, and he's outside with his dog, so the dogs start sniffing each other, and we're talking about dogs. Just very quick small talk, because I'm not stopping very long. Got a walk to do, keep my heart rate up. And I pass by, and as I'm leaving, I'm like, hey, you have a good day. And he goes, thank you, sir. You too. And he's like in his 20s. I wanted to throw my dog at him. My wife's with me, and as soon as we're out of earshot, I'm like, did he just call me sir? She's like, yeah, you're a sir now. I am not. And I know in Japan, respect is like super important, and they definitely make sure they say sir when it's appropriate to say sir.
Heck, in Texas,
he says sir like every sentence. It is so annoying. This guy's 32 years old. It's driving me crazy. The relationship they have seems very different from one side to the other. Like, he is like, I am your junior, and I am here to help you, sensei. And Kafka's like, you're my buddy, and why are you talking like that? And just the fact that Ichikawa is not really getting that and treating him like he's so old. Yeah, it's personal. Yeah, it's coming from a place of my own, but God, it rubs me the wrong way.
That's really fascinating, because in the sub, I did not get the impression of him constantly deferring like
all
that.
The time. in
I
this.
Really?
I don't remember feeling this strongly. I felt it a little bit when I read the manga. But yeah, in the anime, I was like, stop. We get it. He's your elder.
Yeah, no, I mean the most that happens is he just ends his sentences with senpai, but he's always looking out for him. But that's it. I think it's senpai. It could be sensei. I don't know if senpai is the wrong one.
Character's personality and the type and who they are into the battles themselves. And so there comes a point where you might think that, oh, this trope is going to make them be this way, but then they kind of subvert your expectations during battle. And that's actually where most of the growth happens, is when they're in dire situations or like someone's gonna die. So yeah, I'd like to applaud them for that writing. And this character has a couple of those moments, which is what reminded me of it.
There's nothing really wrong with him. Where I just felt he was mostly. I feel he's one note. I feel like Kafka's only two notes.
Yeah, a lot of the characters are very much like that.
Yes, and it's very simple. That's what they're doing. That's what they're going for. It's not really that big of a complaint. But unlike Kafka, who I was enjoying, despite being only two note, and Ichikawa, because it would rub me the wrong way. So I could leave him.
That's why I had just realized the reason I'm like connecting with these characters so much is because it feels like an XCOM squad. You have XCOM characters, they get power suits, and they have very specific roles, and they do very specific things.
Yeah.
This feels like an XCOM story.
Yeah. I could see it. I like it.
I do love, Jeremy had talked about a battle, and I was responding to it, but it was about something different. It was just like, there is something about like a squad of soldiers running in with assault rifles, shooting all together at a huge thing. Very Starship Troopers without the satire. But just that it's a cool look, 4 soldiers gunning down a monster. Whatever it is, it scratches an itch. That is cool to see.
Especially if they have to use some kind of tactics to do it, and it's not just like, everybody shoot. But,
hit the weak spot in the back, and this person run on walls and get behind them in your power suit.
I did have an issue for a little while until the anime explained it a little better, but I'm still confused. I don't want to say little again because that's 3 times. Darn it.
And you might summon him.
I know, right?
Little Richard.
Little too. Little Richard too. But it's how they have some people would shoot their guns and do massive damage. Other people would shoot their guns and do a little damage. Now later they kind of explain this away by passing it off as, oh, your power output is guns focused, or your power output is swords focused. And so I understood that it's like magic. Basically, they're powering their guns up with their suit output. But it took a little while for that to happen. And so during the first few episodes, when I'm watching a character run around, and all I understand about the suits is that they give them, greater strength and shields. And for some reason, her gun is doing way more damage than anyone else. And the tactic seems to be, well, I just shoot him better than you shoot him. I was a little annoyed with that at first, and even after they explained it, I'm like, I wish you guys took a little more time.
Well, yeah, because
understanding how this works.
Like they say bullets, but they show a clip of the gun, and it's like a piece of monster's organ.
Yeah, and it's like lit up, and then it's not lit up, and they eject that.
And it's changing the element, so it's like they're channeling their energy into that organ. It gets an elemental boost or buff, and then comes out the gun based on how much output they can do into the gun. But yet they still are like, hey, I'm out of bullets. No, you're not. You're out of lasers.
Use the right terms. My uni organ is dry. Right. Okay, maybe that wouldn't go over as well, but still.
All right, so these two start to bond, and after a rough day, Ichikawa thanks Kafka for all his help and kind of apologizes to him, and then they're attacked by a smaller kaiju, because we find out smaller kaiju can come out of the bodies of the big kaiju, and they're attacked by one of these. They have names. I don't care. And literally, like, the size and the power level gets you a different name, and I'm like, can we just call them kaiju? Gosh dang it.
The medium-sized ones seem to be called yokai or yoji, but beyond that, yeah, this is what it is.
Well, and that's what's so weird is, like, I wish they wouldn't call them all, because the kaiju is a collective term. I wish they wouldn't use that collective term for them, because sometimes you have human-sized ones,
Right.
and other times you have, towering Godzilla-sized
Okay,
ones.
so
It's like,
you want to know my real only actual complaint about Kaiju number 8? What I think it needs is it needs the Godzilla-sized kaiju. The fact that we're even bothering with the human-sized ones, I'm like, snore. And I am sure in the future, Kafka Kaiju number 8 is going to get Godzilla size. They literally show him changing size. He can morph his body. I'm sure that's coming.
if you paused and read when there was a big document that popped up about him, it does hypothesize that. It's the report that they're making.
Right, and in the final battle, he's clearly much bigger than his normal size. He's clearly growing, and we see Kaiju number 10 grow his size into a giant form. So again, I'm sure it's coming, but it's also what I came here for. I didn't come to watch a human-sized monster punch stuff. I came to watch a monster-sized monster throw another monster-sized monster into a building. It's what I love. You say the word kaiju, it's why I'm sitting down. And you went the whole season without it, and that's a miss.
Just like Godzilla Clash. No. Yeah, it's in the name. Kaiju number 8. Yeah. When we say kaiju, we think giant monsters, which we get a couple of them, but majority of them are like train size or smaller.
The coolest thing was the flashback to Kaiju number 2, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And what
Mushroom Kaiju was pretty good. It was lumbering and slow, but it was still big.
It's just there to make little ones.
That's true.
Whenever they do show a giant size kaiju, though, the horns come in with not trademark Godzilla sound, but very similar to Godzilla sounds, like a callback to classic kaiju music, and then everything else is like rock guitars for the battle music. But yeah, whenever they show a big kaiju, they play the right music for it. I'm like, oh, that's the stuff right there. So yeah, when they showed Kaiju number 2 on the screen, I was like, yeah, and he's gone. All right. Back to a one-on-one man versus man fight. Minor nitpick, but it's the secret sauce that showed it. All right. Kafka runs away, distracting this kaiju. He gets caught. Ichikawa comes back to save him, and then Division number 3 shows up to save them both, and they end up in the hospital. Thanking each other, and Kafka's like, you know what, kid, you've inspired me. So he doesn't call him kid, he calls him Ichikawa like he's his closest friend and same age. And he's like, I am going to join the Defense Force because they raised the age limit, and now he can try one more time with his current age. So he's going to. And then a little bug kaiju flies in and says, I found you, and forces himself down Kafka's throat, and he transforms into Kaiju number 8.
That bug has to have been part of what happened to his village in the flashback, and it's probably been looking for him since then.
Oh. That's a good theory. I don't have any theory.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And it's probably also because there's got to be something special about his biology to make him create that variant of kaiju, the skull face, is what I'm thinking. Because, I mean, why would it matter that it's him unless his physiology matters?
Yeah, I definitely think, especially because of the line, this is a chosen one kind of thing. But, yeah, that's
I bet it's been that whole time.
Yeah, they are seen by an old man like collapses hallway, and they have to flee the hospital. In fact, trying to flee the hospital, he finds out he has superhuman strength and demolishes walls and windows. He's trying to like close doors and open windows, and he's like throwing walls way away. You guys, thoughts on Kaiju number 8's design? You got kind of a skull face thing going on?
Yeah, actually find it pretty rad looking. Yeah, that's about it. I thought it was well designed.
It looked a little. The face looked a little dull to me at first, but I loved the LEDs. The LEDs all over look great. But whenever he would go into like crazy mode or get a little more intense, the way that they modify his face did look really cool. But at first, it took a minute for me to get used to it.
There was an anime a long time ago called, I think it's called Escriad. Not all one word. Those are like dashed out. And it's about a guy whose superpower was like he grew this super arm, and then he had like 3 rocket punches in it. So when the guy was doing his rocket punches, it reminded me of that, because he literally grows tubes out of his arms and legs, and he can use it as rockets, which is a bit weird for a kaiju to do, but whatever. Gamora can do that, right? Kind of. Doesn't matter. Different kaiju.
That turtle kaiju?
Yeah, he's the turtle one who's not as famous as Godzilla.
Yeah.
But still pretty famous for among kaiju. All right.
Until I see a King Ghidorah, I'm not sure I'm going to be happy.
There you go.
But technically, he's not a kaiju. He's an alien.
Oh, he's in the hat.
There he is.
All right. Best scene of the anime comes. He's running down the street. First, his body's like morphing tentacles.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't even know. His body's doing weird stuff to me." And then it reaches out and eats a crow. He's like, "I just ate a bird." And then he's like, "Hey guys, I have to pee." And Ichikawa goes, "I'm looking. I don't see how that's possible." He's like, "I don't know, but it's happening." And then his nipples start shooting out water, and he starts rolling on the ground and says, "Who will want me as a bride now?" And Ichikawa's like, "What does that even mean?"
Yeah.
And I laugh. I saw it in manga. I saw it in the anime. I laughed both times. It's funnier in the anime.
Not my cup of tea.
He peed out his nipples.
Yeah, it's gross and unnecessary.
I thought it was very funny. I didn't understand the "Who will want me as a bride" line though. I still don't understand it. Like it's like purple elephant humor where it's like, this makes no sense, therefore
Right,
I laugh.
Yes. Anyway, they're running away. Kafka, when he's in kaiju form, can sense other kaiju, and he senses one nearby. And Ichikawa's like, "Hey, Division 3 is around. Don't worry about it. They'll take care of it." But Kafka goes back, and they save this little girl who's trying to rescue her mom from a kaiju. And Kafka, I wrote 1 punch, but it actually is like 2 punches. He kills it. And then the little girl's scared of him, and he's trying to be cool with her. But he decides, hey, he does want to become. He still wants to join the Defense Force. He has to join Mina's side. Mina, she's the leader of Division 3, childhood friend. They made a promise to join the Defense Force together. He flunked out. That's his motivational backstory. And she's upset with him about this. Like, it's clear.
But their childhood friends beat from a town that got destroyed by a kaiju, and it seems like they lost pets and family members from the disaster. So it's a little more personal than they were childhood friends.
They were just like, hey, let's kill monsters together. They had a tragedy. To make her feel better, he literally promised he'd be there with her. She went on to become one of those powerful soldiers. He got fat.
It is kind of weird.
He does an important job.
Yes.
I ain't judging. I got fat too.
It is kind of weird that she's mourning the loss of her cat and not like parents or siblings or friends. And he doesn't mention mourning the loss of anyone either. I kind of wonder if they were already orphans.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of details on who they were as people back when they were children. So
yeah, it's just stuff that struck me as weird.
the Division 3 shows up and investigates the scene, and 3 months pass from this point, and he has been dubbed as Kaiju number 8, only the 8th, because he's so powerful, they give those Kaiju numbered names, and he's the 8th one.
And he's the first one to have escaped.
Yep. 10 days later, oh no. So they're waiting for. He took the written test. They're waiting for the results. Ichikawa gets them, sees that they both passed, runs to tell him, and he's sitting on his lunch break in his kaiju form, which Ichikawa beats him up for and yells at him. When Kaiju number 8 released a preview chapter of a manga, I'd heard people were excited about it. I had read this. This is where the chapter started, the preview, and I was like, I have no idea what's happening. A lot of context missing.
Speaking of context, this will be important later, but he's classified as a Dai Kaiju.
Because his power level is high enough to move out of a Kaiju scale.
Not just that, but we'll get into it later.
Do we have to?
Well,
it's
I
kind
want
of
to know
important,
what it is. Yeah, because I only caught that it was like a power level difference, but if there's something more, I'm very curious.
So preview, spoiler for preview 4. All of the special weapons are made from kaijus, and they're only made from Dai Kaijus. And Dai Kaijus are the numbered ones. So not only does it have to be a certain power level, but it has to be a certain type. So not every kaiju can be made into a
Thus meaning there's 7 super kaiju weapons out there for killing kaiju.
I'm not sure that means that you can have that power level and not be that category, but maybe.
They didn't give the mushroom one a number, but
Yeah.
that one was obviously very powerful.
It was, but at the same time, like I look at the fight between 8 and 9, and then I look at how much damage like Hoshina and Mina do, and I bet you the big mushroom one was only like a 7.
Oh my god.
Here we go.
Yeah. You just feel the anger rise.
Maybe 7.5.
Yes, yes.
But could he beat Goku in a 1-to-1 fight?
I don't know. Is Goku like an 8?
But could Goku beat Superman? I mean, now that he's powered up again? No. The answer is no. Always no.
Which version of Superman?
Yeah, that's true.
This is the problem with saying anyone versus One Punch Man. He's written to defeat anything in one punch. It doesn't matter.
Except Popeye. Don't blame me. Blame Death Battle.
They're not a definitive source for truth. Anyways.
Well, who else are we supposed to trust?
we
Nobody
move
does
on?
that much research.
Okay. So they go to take the test, the physical test, 10 days later, and when they're there, they're introduced to another main character who is this bratty teen girl who is mad at them for taking her parking spot because her lucky number is 55 and they parked in 55 in their cleanup van.
Technically, it's 5, but 55 has 2 5s, therefore it's like double lucky.
That was important. Thanks for the this is Kikaru. Her last name is Shinomiya, but her father's in it, and he's also Shinomiya, so I'm going by her first name. Kikaru. What are you guys' thoughts on Kikaru?
Another character that I hated when I first met them, because immediate trope. I am the haughty, overconfident one that's probably going to do something stupid later.
H-A-U-G-H-T-Y. Not H-O-T-T-I-E.
I didn't say hootie.
No, hottie. You said hottie.
Yeah.
And the blowfish?
No,
Anyways.
not hottie like a hot girl, but hottie like she's better than.
Wait, do you spell hottie with I-E? I thought you still spelled that with a Y.
Hottie. It's hottie.
Yes, I meant as in persona or attitude, not physical appearance.
It's making me question my. Yes, I looked it up. I'm right. Okay.
It's gonna be 105 in my area this week. It's gonna be a real hottie here too.
That works. It's a synonym. Actually, it's not even a synonym. It's
We are the
a
worst.
word for that.
Yeah.
Who listens to this podcast? What are you doing with your lives?
Learning how to spell.
Right now, I promise you, future Troy is like, do I cut this?
No.
This seems odd. Jason, you're trying to make a point. Jeremy is derailing.
Derailing
Yes.
so far.
Jason, go for it. Floor is yours.
So, anyways, she turns out not to only have a softer side underneath, but she has a very the best way to describe it is she's the empathetic warrior. Like, she is there for her team, even though she knows her. She seems to show off, but she knows her abilities. She knows her limits. And she gets a really big wake-up call or reality check here shortly. So, I like this girl.
That is not the impression I got in the sub.
Yeah, I actually think I disagree too.
Yeah, in the sub, she is haughty all the way. Haughty.
Stop it.
Now there does come to be a certain relationship that forms between her and the main character, Kafka, where she does have his back, and I would say she helps her team as a side effect of her just doing the job. That's the impression I get in the sub. She doesn't wind up actually seeking to protect them or anything. She's just cleaving her way through the monsters and happens to get there in the nick of time out of luck. But the way that she behaves with the main character is really interesting because it exposes a deeper character out of her. And I was just like you, when I saw her at first, I was like, oh, I hate this character already. This is going to be horrible. But then she starts, as soon as he saves her and she realizes, holy crap, this weakling who I've humiliated multiple times is actually so much more powerful than me that he annihilates this big monster with just one punch and nothing is left. And yet he's still a nice guy. She actually has the desire to impress him. And that was kind of cool because the only other person that she's wanted to impress, we find out, is her dad. And there was no shot for her to ever impress him because he's really just concerned about the human race's survival. And she's a tool to help that happen. So for her, seeing that relationship form where she cares about his opinion when she doesn't care about anybody else's opinion because she's so far above all of them, and she's keeping his secret and starting to look out for him, it added a side of humanity to her that I did not expect from her at all. And I was thinking about this because I thought, the character that we first saw, the really catty, arrogant jerk, did I still see her behave like that after she had this sort of pivotal scene with him? And yeah, I totally did. I still saw her behave like that with the other characters, especially during combat, where, if she said anything, it was just like, yeah, I'll take care of it. I'll get it. And even the tone of voice sounded very impressed with her own abilities and just like, what are you guys doing holding me back? Why are you even here? Kind of a thing. Even if she didn't necessarily say it, that's what I got from her. So, but I wound up liking her way more than I thought I would.
So, this is Daddy Issues, the character, but
Yes.
but I feel it's done well. Writers, take note. Your characters should have flaws, and then those flaws should have realistic reasons for existing. And then the cause of those realistic reasons for existing should be realistic as well. Her dad lost his wife. Now he pushes his daughter to be the best so that she won't die.
Yeah.
And that has given her inferiority complex, which she overcompensates. And then comes along this 32-year-old older man who is praising her and giving her the encouragement she needed her whole life, and that creates a strong natural relationship that of trust and friendship there. I hope it doesn't ever become anything more, but
Right?
um,
Save
I
it for
could
Mina, man.
I could
Save it for Mina.
see I could see her like again. Danny should cause some issues. Like,
Yes.
oh, this guy's giving me again the encouragement I needed. And I don't see anything on the other side, and I do think it's just friends, so we're good. We're safe right now. But I've seen anime. Look at you, Undead, unluck with your polygamous marriage just out of nowhere. Sure, whatever.
Well, that didn't happen in season 1.
No, I did.
Spoiler.
Sure, I did. No one knows who it was.
Yeah.
Anywho's. Yeah, I like her. I don't think she's super complex, and it's also not super original. This is stuff that's been done, but it was done well. It's done effectively. I loved having a bratty character who's showing off, but in the heat of the battle, she's not a bad person. And you know what? Young girls wielding giant battle axes is just cool. Giant battle axes are also always cool. The smaller the person wielding it, the cooler it gets. That's not me. That's the rule of life.
You know, speaking of that, the way that she wielded that thing when she was explaining her different techniques that she was using were cracking me up, because she basically acted as sort of a pivot point and an adjustment lever on the battle axe, but the battle axe itself was providing the sonic wave to push itself at super speeds, right? So like she would leap up and start to swing it just to get it in the right angle, and then pull the trigger, and then poof. I loved it. It was great.
Okay, so another reason she's obsessed with Kafka is because she already has a battle suit, which no one else has yet. Turns it on and throws the van. So Kafka goes over and he picks it up and right sides it up by turning his arms into kaiju arms, which no one can see. But she's like, holy frick, this guy has amazing strength. He's like doing suit stuff without a suit. This will be a rival. And then they go inside and he has 0% battle power. So she's like, okay, this guy sucks, but he's also was able to be stronger than me in an instant. And so I'm fascinated by him, especially since I have to be the best. That starts their connection. And then again, we go into all this other stuff we talked about. Very, very good writing. The physical test starts. Kafka does not get last. I like that.
Yeah.
He got like 5th to last or something. Very low. And then he's all excited though, because usually the second test is cleanup, because they want you to show that it takes a lot of endurance and you need to know about the monsters. Except for they changed that this year. It's combat. So they're all given battle suits, and Kikaru is at 46%. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. Usually, what is it? New recruits are like 8%. Is high.
They said they only get a few that are around 20.
Yeah. But we find out that as far as rookies go, Class 1A is the cream of the crop. I mean, this class of Jujutsu Warriors is cream of the crop. I mean,
Yeah. Demon Sword Slayers.
I see what you did there.
I did not pull out. I wrote these characters down. All I want to say is that the green hair one, the stoic top tier guy, and the blonde hair guy, the even more stoic, slightly less top tier guy. I'm like, one's rich and one's a former soldier, and that's all their personality. And they get many scenes together, and I don't think they were dealt on that much in the manga. And I'm like, why? These guys hardly matter. The pink pompadour guy, he gets a really good scene and a little bit of character growth, but these two guys got so much screen time, and I'm like, they are almost the same and interchangeable, and red shirt so hard. My thoughts.
And they're not important in the manga.
Okay, it's been a bit since I read it, because I stopped waiting for this anime. And again, I'm just flicking through my phone, so please don't take me as like a Wikipedia of the manga. I hardly remember them. I know they were there. I remember the big haired guy because of his big scene. I don't remember like I called the JDF. I don't remember the hey I'm the I think there was they said he was rich. I don't remember him like thanking the restaurant manager and like being a scene.
Yeah, because he's the son of the corporation that makes the suits.
Right, that makes the suits. Yeah. And all their scenes together about like, hey, I'm out pushing you, and you're up. Well, you should try harder to be number one. Yeah. I'm a big tough guy with super muscles.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that stuff.
Muscles.
See, and that's really interesting because I have the first page of the wiki up, and so you know how it always shows you like the photos of not photos, but like the portraits of the characters, main characters with their names, which is it's always helps because when I just have the names, I don't know who they are. So I gotta see a face with it. They're not there. And I was wondering why they're not there. The red-haired guy is there. All the other characters I know are there. But those two aren't there. So this makes a lot more sense hearing you say that. I don't think they're important enough for the wiki.
Again, they're in the manga. I have no idea what happens after this season. I have no idea if they get big arcs or not. I have a feeling they will. But comparing to My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, just because they're the hot right now, I know those side characters. Like even Cello Tape Guy, they're helped by the powers kind of make the characters stand out. But Jujutsu Kaisen, they got a panda. Stands out. These two guys were like so similar in. It reminded me in the new Suicide Squad movie where Deadshot, Bloodsport, whatever. They're like, hey, he's a commando, who's trained by his father, he's the best there is. They're like, hey, he's gonna work with Peacemaker, a commando who's trained by the father, and their best he is. He's like, he's just me. They're like, yeah, that's how it felt like. Like the same guy. One's rich, one's got more muscles. Probably more random.
I actually don't mind that. I don't know, this is a really old take, but like it's the twins from Super Friends, right? Sometimes you just have two that are the same and they work together really well.
I'm not upset that they exist. I'm just
the buddies.
The amount of screen time, I guess, is what.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. There is a character we need to meet, though. The vice captain of Division 3, who's proctoring these tests. His name is Hoshina. He keeps his eyes closed, and if he opens them, you're dead.
Yep.
Thoughts on Hoshina?
I don't know. He's fine. I don't have a lot of thoughts on him. Like he's the sleeper, super powerful guy that is, the commander that is always doing all the strategic stuff. But then once he comes out, he's the super powerful guy. But he's got this if the kaiju is too big, I'm completely ineffective. So I don't know. He's fine.
Okay, grant me one last little derail. I promise. Last one. I promise.
Here we
go. You have been staring at me and Jeremy talking at your screen. From what I've seen, just like you might as well be holding up your watch and tapping it. And then you give that answer. And I know Path of Exile just dropped the new season. Where's your brain right
now? I will be honest. I am. It's obviously in my brain, but I am fully engaged with you guys.
We'll get you there. I promise.
What's wrong with my answer?
Your answer was fine. I was more like you really have been staring at the screen like these guys won't stop talking. I have a game to play.
No. That's not how I feel. This character was okay. Like he didn't have a big arc. He was the big tough commander guy. I like that he sniffed out Kafka before any big reveals, but I don't know.
Again, there was nothing wrong with your answer. Your answer was fine.
Okay. He reminded me of the Game Master guy from Blue Lock.
No.
I guess I can see some similarities, yeah. I loved this guy. I thought he was awesome. And I think that when I was first really enamored by him was when he just started laughing at Kafka and saying, "This guy's hysterical. I want this guy on my team. I
Yeah.
really hope the old guy makes it."
This guy sucks. He's hilarious. Let's get him on the team. We
Yeah.
need a clown.
Yeah, and how he was like, "Man, this is okay." So when they're at the ceremony and Kafka comes in late and he's like, "Oh, sorry to interrupt," and he's like yelling it, and then he says that to Mina, where he's like, he just boisterously yells out that he wants to stand by her side, right? This really embarrassing thing to say. And Hoshin is just standing there laughing. He's like, "Yep, it's already starting. We need stuff like this. This is great. It always gets so somber around here." Like those kind of moments from him really got me, because they made him a character that I enjoyed watching. And then after that, seeing that he actually had some depth to um, his style of combat, because honestly, swords really aren't suited for taking out kaiju. Everybody's been trying to tell him that. And so seeing that that's kind of the burden that's on his shoulders, is this is the only way I can contribute. I would be a genius in another time. I can hunt the little ones like crazy, but nobody wants me. I've been basically dropped from all the different forces until I was picked up by Mina, because she basically sees me as important for her squad. Like I keep them busy I'm the frontliner, and then she takes pot shots at the enemies while I keep them busy. And so it made for an interesting character. And like you said, when he sniffed out Kafka, that was really cool. Yeah, I really liked. I thought there was a bit of depth from this character, and the way that he treated his subordinates. I often wondered, is he gonna be like villainous, or because it seems like he's challenging Kafka. Oh, you want my spot?
Mm.
Oh, you're gonna die before you get my spot. I'm not gonna let you have my spot. You 1%er, right? And so
right.
Well
and
done.
so and so then seeing later his reaction, finding out that Kafka was the kaiju, and he's like, "I knew it, but I was blinded because I liked the guy," and he's really pissed off at himself. And even then, like when he walks in to get Kafka and he's like, "Don't say a word." As soon as he said that, I was like, because of the cameras. You told him earlier that they're always watching, right? But they do a really good job of having him kind of sit there right on the edge, teeter-tottering, where you're like, is he going to be horrible? Is he going to be great? I think he's going to be great in the end. He'll be a great ally to him, help him out. But I enjoyed the ride of trying to determine that.
One thing I think this anime is almost doing badly is it's constantly being like, and this character is super powerful, and here's this new character also super powerful, and then it has to try to find some way to distinguish them. And I thought it was really clever to be like, yeah, Mina, she's this giant gun and she can blast kill kaiju with one hit, and then there's this guy, he's just as powerful, and he was born in the wrong age. Like like if guns didn't exist, he would be the best of the best. But he was born in a time when swords aren't that useful. But Mina, recognizing what she's lacking in herself, then enlist him because, hey, we're the perfect combo. There's nothing that can beat us as we're together. You can handle the small stuff that's quick and fast. I can handle the big stuff with a big old gun and my tiger, who I brace myself on. That's so cool, by the way.
That was super cool.
That was great.
Yeah, and his voice actor, I think, is Todd Haberkorn. He does a great job. He's done some of my favorite anime characters. He's I thought he was fun. I think some of his attacks are super silly.
I don't like how they yell out their
Yeah.
techniques and numbers and stuff.
Especially with number 4,
very-
where he just kind of like starts flailing.
Yeah, he's like crazy sword attack.
Crazy sword attack. Arms start flying off. Like it just kind of seems like you got lucky there. Anyway, for most though, I did like the character. I think the most interesting thing is like he still wants to fight Kaiju number 8, which I'm assuming means he's gonna train him at some point. He's gonna be like, hey, look, you're a close range fighter like me, and it's time for me to make you better. That'll be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. He is tropey though. He's definitely not super original. Okay. The test battle begins. They're fighting monsters. Kikuru's doing the best. She's like killing things with one shot, and everyone else is trying really hard. Kafka, realizing he's not very good, he's got 0% power in his suit, and so he plays support. He knows the monsters really well from having carved them up. And did you hear the squeaky?
Is that what that was? I thought it was a dying dog.
It's the faucet outside on the other side of this wall.
I was just about to say, that sounded like exactly when my wife turns the faucet on and off outside.
We don't go outside anymore. It's summer.
No idea what I just said. Kafka, because he has extensive knowledge of the monsters, he provides support. He's throwing stun grenades. He knows how to stun them. He's telling other people like, hey, if you hit them here, this is their weak spot. And he's like, I may not be able to kill monsters, but they're not just watching that. They're looking at who's helping, who's supporting, who's playing a role in the team. So him and Ichikawa focus on that. He does get hit though by a kaiju and has to be saved by Kikuru. And they're basically like, hey, we're gonna turn on your shield, and that means you automatically fail. And he's like, no, I know my ankle is broken, but I'll ride piggyback on Ichikawa. And he does. He's like running through, throwing grenades, shooting guns, and they end up helping. And then Kikuro goes and fights the biggest kaiju in the test field, and she kills it. But then kaiju number 9, who at this time I was calling Hat Kaiju, because his head looks like he's wearing a hat. He is one of the villains of this anime, probably their primary antagonist at this moment. I don't think he's the boss. But your guys' thoughts on kaiju number 9?
I really liked this character because it was a stark contrast between human turns kaiju, and then in order to hide amongst humans, kaiju turns human, or well, shapeshifts. And I liked that there was some strategicness to the way he approached not just the world, but also the people around him. He looks so far down on humankind. He thinks they're just the lowest of the low. Which his presence, along with Kaiju number 10, which we'll meet later, suggest there's something else going on. There's some really cool world building going on here with this character. And man, the way he fights is unique. I haven't seen a bad guy basically have to expel pieces of himself in order to fire projectiles. But he's cunning. He doesn't. Really, I think there's only one episode that he actually does any real fighting. Because the majority of the time he's kind of architecting battles with other kaiju. So, yeah, fascinated to see where it goes because he makes it through the entire season. So you would think the big bad guy gets defeated at the end of the season. That doesn't happen here. So,
right?
Yeah. This is my favorite character. I absolutely love this guy. The way that he analyzes everything, even during the fight, even in the seconds, even between the seconds of fighting, where he's like, oh, okay, I need to move over here, and that's okay, I can recover. And oh no, my core is exposed. This is bad. Like it was so cool. And those other moments where there was a fight between him and Reno and Iharu, the pink-haired guy, and Reno runs up and gets ready to do an attack, and he like pulls the carcasses of the dead mushroom dudes and blocks the attack, and then he comes out from behind the carcasses and he looks at Reno and he like turns his head cocked to the side and he says, "Oh, that look says you're screwed." Oh my god, I love this guy. His delivery was spot on every time. Just fantastic.
Yeah, he's a good start for an antagonist, like hinting at something bigger going on, some conspiracy. I think the most interesting thing is that, now that Kafka's turned into a kaiju, suddenly there's 2 talking kaiju that no one's ever seen before, having plans, manipulating things. This guy also seems like the idea of the human race is new to him. Like he's studying them, trying to learn them, not an ancient being that's like, oh, I've been dealing with humans for a long time. He's new to this game that he's started. So what I think whatever's happening with Kafka happened here, but happened better. But
Better for the kaiju.
For the kaiju, yeah. As in, they got to take over the body completely and create what they wanted instead of someone who's hijacking their power. Yeah. So and his whole, I control corpses at will. I can telekinesis, and I can shoot my own body parts and regenerate. The fact that the kaiju can regenerate and then use that as part of their battle strategy, is cool. Undead Unluck did it, but that was the good guy, so it's different. But yeah, he's and his voice is really cool too. All right, so he shows up and he shoots Kikaru, and then he revives the other kaiju on the test field, making them even stronger. Everyone's freaking out. Kikaru's like, I'm gonna try, I can do this, and then she gets her butt kicked. She's like, I can't do this, I'm gonna die. Division 3 is trying to run into the test field and save people. Kafka runs off and he saves Kikaru by transforming in front of her, saving her from the giant monster who's not even stronger. Takes a break to beg her not to reveal his secret, and then does the big One Punch Man rocket elbow and kills the monster, who starts to regenerate but then stops, which I thought was really interesting. And then Division 3 finally gets there, investigates, clears the debris, and find out that Kafka and Kikaru and Ichikawa all got to safety. They were last in there, which they find suspicious, but they let it go. They end up in the hospital again. And it's actually Hoshina goes to Kikaru and is like, okay, so like you managed to defeat that thing all by yourself, right? And she's like, yes, I did. She has promised to keep the secret because she's a cool person. Keeping secrets from the government is cool.
And that is just recorded
good.
Now.
Yeah, that's just good for everybody.
Then we get a final shot of Kaiju number 9, who's on the toilet playing with like a phone, but then he changes into a human form. And we find out he's on the cleaner crew. I think it would have been cool if we had already met a character who was like just a little bit of an oddball, and then he was Kaiju number 9. But this is like the Kafka's replacement, so it's just this random new guy.
What are the odds?
What are those odds? They wait for their test results, and then they come in, and the anime does a pretty weak fake out with like, oh, here's the ceremony. Kafka's not there. Oh no, he didn't make it. We're abandoning our main character in the story. Yeah. But at the last second, he walks in. He's not late though. He wasn't allowed to join up until this point because he's only being allowed to enlist as a cadet instead of an officer like everybody else. So he's basically on what would you call this?
Probation.
Kind of like an intern.
Yeah. He's got 3 months, or he's out if he doesn't become an officer.
There's a word. I don't even care about it. Bahamut. He does, though, vow out loud, Mina, I will stand by your side. No one knows that this is like his childhood best friend. She like immediately punishes him with 100 push-ups, but as she's leaving, she smiles, and only Hoshina notices.
I like how he's like, oh no, I said that out loud. I was supposed to say that in my head. That was funny.
We're about to go into a montage, but we do get some scenes of them like training. Kafka's got his suit up to 1% now. He's all super excited. Everyone's like, my personal best, and I'm hitting new peaks. And he's like, 1%. Yeah, I rock. Then they all take a bath together, compare their man muscles. Everyone finds out that he knew Mina as a child, and so they pump for information. Then we get the training montage. And one of the big points is all these awesome cadets are pushing each other to even higher heights because they're all being competitive. And yeah. And
Need a montage.
Kafka studies harder than everybody, and Hoshina's like, "You're staying up too late." He's like, "Yeah, but I gotta keep trying." He's like, They have the, "Oh, you want my job?" He's like, "Yeah, I actually do want your job." And he's like, "Oh, okay, well, you can't have it." So
It's mine.
then they are sent out. Division 3 in the next episode is sent out for their first attack since the rookies joined, and the rookies are spread out across the different squads, but they're going to be basically backline. This kaiju is a giant mushroom, but he's spawning little mushroom kaiju everywhere, so they have to help contain them. Kafka, not being much use in the fight, takes the time to dissect one of them, finds out where their core is, best way to attack them, and that they have eggs inside them, which will hatch even more monsters. So they have to make sure they get those when they kill them. Ends up being a huge help to the team, and definitely helps his career. Then we get scenes of all the different all these different characters experiencing the battle. And we get Mina attacking the main kaiju with her giant laser blast. She's basically showing off, hey, this is what almost 100% looks like. I think she goes up like 95, 96, something like that. And yeah, 96, I wrote down. And she blasted like 3 or 4 times, and everyone's like, oh, that's so cool. She's so cool.
And then she blasted it again. The dead corpse.
Well, she has a reason.
Yeah.
They know that as soon as this thing dies, it's going to super spawn a bunch of minions. So she's trying to get as much as she can of it taken out. But it does still spawn a bunch, and the rookies are all like, oh, we just like went all out. And the rest of the people are like, yeah, these guys may be powerful, but they don't have endurance. They haven't been doing this as long as we have. So the rookies are all tired out, but we got to keep going. Also, one of the female lead officers is really inappropriate with
Cookie lady.
Yeah. But it's fine. And then Ichikawa and Pink Pompadour guy come across Kaiju number 9, who's upset that his, kaiju that he made is not working out like he intended.
Why did you geld it? I put reproductive organs on it for a reason.
He starts attacking them, but Ichikawa had been told about him by Kikuro, so he knows to read the fingers that those are what's going to be shooting. He's able to dodge where what is the Pink Pompadour's name?
Iharu?
Iharu, he takes a shot or two. This, again, what Kaiju number 9 is doing is really cool. They do keep coming back and forth to like, okay, Ichikawa's going to do this one last effort, and he failed. Okay, Iharu's going to do one last effort, and he failed. Okay, Ichikawa's going to do one last effort. They're way outclassed. They're way outmatched. They're literally on the ropes trying to fight this thing. It is cool, but also I felt like it just kept going back and forth. He started like, I'm going to murder this one. Oh, this one got me. Okay, I'm going to go over here and murder this. Oh, that one got me. Okay, I'm going to go back.
Yeah.
But he does eventually incapacitate Ichikawa, starts shooting him over and over, but keeping him alive. He wants to capture him. But then he decides, hey, I don't need Iharu. I'm going to murder him. And they haven't been able to call for help because he can somehow jam their comms. But then Kafka arrives because he was told his friends were in danger and he could sense the monster. So he ran off and saves them and has a big old fight with Kaiju number 9. Jeremy's favorite part of the episode. I think Jason's too.
So good.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably Jeremy's favorite part too is him describing himself being in trouble as he's being pummeled to pieces.
I loved it.
Great.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah,
I did.
He's definitely the Simpsons. I'm in danger.
Yes.
My favorite moment is why can't I see my torso? Oh, my head has come off.
Yeah.
That's a good moment. Yeah, so he keeps like, okay, well, I'll get Kaiju number 8 this way, but then Kaiju number 8, he's so powerful, he's so relentless in his attack, he keeps getting to the core. But soldiers show up, his fellow defense members, and Kaiju number 9 is able to escape. He kind of like dissolves into the wind.
Yeah, that's another thing I don't really understand is if the core is so vulnerable, how can you teleport it around like
Yeah. Yeah, we don't know
That-
enough about him.
That's why he's a Daikaiju.
that? That's actually not a bad justification because we do see that the core doesn't move around in regular kaiju, but all three of these seem to have unusual ability to do things with their core. Like I'm counting number 10 as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Kafka leaves, but he's found by Hoshino, who then releases his power, which is 92%. And hey, good to know that's just the kind of perfect size target for him. And he just starts wailing on poor Kafka, who of course doesn't want to hurt his his superior officer, but also has trying to defend his life. Gets his core exposed at one point, but is able to move his core and knows that okay, he's going to target my core. I can get him to stab me, and then he hits the sword and is able to escape. And then Hoshino's like, "Wait, why didn't he kill me?" And kind of
Yeah, it was interesting when he went, no. I was like,
I-
oh, Hoshino lost.
What's interesting about this matchup is, like, both of them have the potential to just one-shot each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it was interesting to see, like, if it was a real battle where they were like actually trying to hurt each other, like it would have been real bad if you punched him.
and again, I think Hoshino's most interesting moment is near the end of the anime or the season where he knows all the whole truth and he thinks he was holding back while fighting me.
Uh-huh.
A total Vegeta moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
After everyone is recovered in the hospital, they throw a celebration party with the rich guy having to pay, so they're all having fancy meat. Super fancy meat. And everyone starts arguing with each other. But apparently that's normal for them.
Team building exercise.
Kafka gets promoted here to full officer because of his exemplary work in the field. He's officially promoted by Mina, and once again gets more push-ups because he says stuff out loud he's not supposed to. And then Kafka notices Hoshina training, reenacting the fight that they had just had, and ending it faster. Like, okay, next time I'll just go straight for the head. I don't even know why I was bothering to test his power level. I should have just gone for kills.
God, I want to play XCOM now. You did this to me, Jason. I keep thinking, okay, now he's the technical officer, and this one's the medic, and this one is
Right?
Yes.
This episode ends with giant flying dinosaur kaiju flying over the base, being ridden by kaiju number 10, who's like this red kaiju.
Lizard dude.
Humanoid, yeah, sized. But
He's a dragonborn.
Yeah. It reminds me of something, but I'm not going to be able to figure it out. So we're going to move on to the next episode, where the attack starts. These birds like literally can blow up as bombs. So they're like fire. Kafka looks up into the night sky and just sees fireballs coming down on the barracks. The base is attacked by kaiju, and they're all springing into action. We see Hoshina take on Kaiju number 10. We don't get much of a personality with Kaiju number 10 other than he seems to like fighting. He's really into it. But he's going to die here. He doesn't get much backstory. We also get, this is where Kikaru gets her giant axe. Because everyone's like, from Kafka, hey guys, we got to shoot them in the back. They're birds, so their armor is really tough on the bottom, because that's where they expect attacks, but their back, because they had to change the weight, is weak. So they're all distracting them. And she's like, no, I'll just chop it in the front, uses her new giant battle axe prototype. Now, only officers are supposed to get special weapons, which is like what Hoshina has with his dual blades. They're specialized to their combat style. But they're like, this girl's so good, and her dad is like the boss of everything. We're going to give her an axe. and I have no problems with it.
Also, Mina's off base right now because of reasons.
Yeah, all the because Kaiju number 8 had an appearance and escaped, and now Kaiju number 9 has been identified. All of the division leaders were called in to discuss what's going on. I wrote it down. And I was like, "How? I don't know what to call it," but that was the situation. Hoshina leads this number 10 into a training area so that he can go all out, and then really ups his power. Like at first, like he first hit him, and he's like, "Oh, I can't break his armor," and then he gets in the training area and like just slices off his arm. Like, no, I always could. He basically is winning the fight until Kaiju number 10's like, okay, well, I'll just go giant size, and he does turn into a giant size.
Kafka also deduces that this is a very strange attack because he's cleaned up these birds before, and they always come in singles. And so for them to be working together is very strange.
They're coordinated. We also have Ichikawa supporting Kikoru, so like he's doing distracted and using his ice bullets. Apparently, he's the only one who figured out how to load ice bullets. The other guy used electricity though. Anyway, he's supporting her, so he's distracting so she can use her axe and kill stuff. Hoshina gets a really cool battle scene here of like running up arms, slicing it apart, but of course the guy's healing as fast as he is damaged. It'll like bubble up and then just heal away.
Is this where he runs out of time?
Yeah, and we find out like it's never been mentioned before. We're like, oh, my suit's overheating. So there is. Yeah. You only have a few minutes to use your suit at high levels.
10 minutes.
Yeah. And he's like,
off.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, because they have to. The officers remove limiters.
They take off their weighted wrist gauntlets.
And their weighted wrist. There's not really much that happens in this besides just a lot of battles, a lot of back and forth fighting.
I think what's cool about this is that in the end, Kafka doesn't wind up transforming. Like he almost does. Like he's running to go and save. He's running
out to do it.
Yeah, Hoshina, because it looks like Hoshina is going to get eaten. He's getting crushed.
He even starts transforming, like his skin starts changing.
Yeah. And I thought for sure, okay, so that's the formula. This anime is going to be like, all right, he stays in human form and does everything he can until the last moment where he has to change into the kaiju and go save somebody's life. And I thought that would be it every time. And they didn't do it this time. Granted, he does change into a kaiju shortly thereafter to save everybody's life. So technically, I guess you could say that. But it felt different. It was different enough to not follow the formula exactly. So I like that.
What happens is Mina's voice comes over the comm. She's like, hey, guys, I'm here. Let's take this sucker down. And she starts blasting him. What I did really love about the rest of the scene is showing.
So, anyways, I started blasting.
What I loved about the scene was showing how Hoshina and Mina do work well together as a team. He's running up and down. He's like cutting its legs, its knees, making it hold still. And then even Kikuro has to come help him because he's not strong enough at this point from all the fighting. But he incapacitates. She blasts the heck out of it, which she does. And then it's like, oh, I'm dying. It does this death call. But it's actually what it does is it orders all the birds who can come down and just explode to turn into one big giant bomb. And they're like, oh, it's the size of a nuclear bomb. And
over Japan.
Yeah.
I
had that thought. I was not going to say it. It's not funny. We shouldn't laugh at that. All right. We're moving on.
Oh, no.
Kafka, he decides to make the sacrificial play edited.
Especially after your earlier comment that Japan has no sense of humor.
Right? American elitist.
Right.
Really putting our fingers in some pies tonight.
Yep.
Anyway, Kafka transforms, and he's like, sorry, everybody, I'm Kaiju number 8, and I'm going to punch this bomb. and he jumps up and he punches it up into the sky enough that even though it wipes out all the buildings, everyone's able to turn on their shields and survive it. He blocks for a couple people when he comes back down, and then is immediately arrested.
Jeremy, isn't an airburst nuke way more destructive than a ground nuke?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the radiation dispersal, the effects in the atmosphere, the shock wave.
Not an actual nuclear bomb. It's just as powerful as a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
So not necessarily going to be radiation.
No. I'm talking about the shockwave impact coming down is much and becomes much more widespread. But anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying?
But I guess if you take it,
nuclear bombs in Japan.
What I'm saying is that it might not have been a great idea to punch it straight up unless he was going to take it further than where it went,
out of the atmosphere or into the highest part of the atmosphere. Mm-hmm.
I think they just should not have had a character yell out "strong as a nuclear bomb."
That's fair.
You'd have just been like, "Those birds are really explosive." It's like you can just really bad. That'll definitely kill us all. That tells the audience all you need to know, and then
what's the fortitude though?
And the only reason this
how much TNT do you think that equals, guys?
The only reason this crossed my mind is because after the explosion, here he is protecting them from what looks like a sideways explosion. Because if it explodes in the air and it comes down, how did he protect them?
Mm-hmm. It was his energy aura.
Even though the ground was ripped apart behind him in a cone shape.
Okay.
Okay.
I know he said that as a joke, but it is also true. He is creating an energy aura. The what he's blocking is definitely more than just his body.
And it's psychological, I guess. So it's a cone shape behind him because that's what he thinks it would be, because he doesn't understand the shock waves. He thinks it's coming from his front.
And willpower.
Yes.
He felt powerful.
Yes, he did.
Still good. It was a very satisfying scene, the whole thing.
He's arrested immediately. Okay. I gotta say, another little nitpick, and I don't know where the story's going, so I probably shouldn't at this point. But I was really enjoying the idea that he's the weakest soldier 99% of the time, having to hide his secret identity as the strongest. And I realized that if you go too long, that is going to get old and it could fall into a routine. But I would have liked to have gone a little longer. I would have liked to have seen, one at a time, people being brought in on the secret, like Hoshino probably should have found out next, and moving forward. I like the idea that he's constantly having to hold his power back and help he constantly has to be the Krillin. Jason, what is wrong with you? While he actually is the Gogeta of the group. I thought that was a cool dynamic, and I'm a little sad to see it go so early in the anime.
Well, it seems like they are trying to keep a vestige of it, at least, because one of the things that they pointed out is, this is just the beginning. If the Japanese community at large, the citizens, found out, this would be horrible. So I think they're still going to be like, well, we still have to keep it secret from everybody else. So we'll have to orchestrate when you use it. It's not the same, but it feels like they're reaching for it. Like they know that's something good and they want to keep it. But
let's just say a little birdie told me in the next season, in the first episode, they're going to be like, okay, Kafka, go transform and start fighting.
Oh, okay. So that one's out. That theory's out.
I went 2 chapters past. I didn't know. Okay, like it didn't even occur to me like I should stop, and I did stop, and I'm like, I wonder where the anime ends, and I'm like, ooh, I went just a little 2 chapters too far. Like I know the character who shows up at the very end with the pink hair. I know who that is. Like he gets introduced in those 2 chapters, and that's about it. But they do. Yeah, we see the new relationship, which is, all right, you turn into Kaiju number 8 and go help, or you're worthless to us.
Or we murder you. Yeah.
Nice.
So he's
a living weapon or a dead weapon, your choice.
So yeah, The next episode really just deals with the fallout as he is transported. But as he's being transported, like everyone's like, "Oh, Stern." He's like, "I can't look anyone in the eye." Ichikawa does call out, "I'll be waiting for you to come back, sir. I believe in you." Which seems
Sir.
like he probably should have gotten in trouble. Yes, sir.
Senpai. Senpai.
He's put in the thing, and then once the truck that's transporting him closes, Mina, who's in there with them, is like, "Just so you know, no one sees you as a kaiju. We are all behind you." They were clearly having to, and actually, Hoshina's like, "Everyone salute," and one of the generals is like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We're saluting the captain, of course." He's like, "Oh, good. It would be bad if you were saluting a kaiju," but they're clearly saluting the kaiju.
Clearly.
And we get to see character reactions now. They're having discussions like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this happened, but he's one of us." They all very much. I mean, he just saved their lives and has been saving their lives the whole time. No one's like, "I'm gonna get that." No one's being kaiju racist here, except for Jason.
Kaiju are people too.
Is that speciesist?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Anyway.
I mean, they've only killed tens of thousands of people. What's your problem?
Darn Klingons. Anyway, again, we see the top generals discussing what to do with him. The leader of these is Isao Shinomiya. This is Kikuro's dad. She comes to him and is like, "Hey, this is a good guy." And he's like, "Hey, look at this x-ray. That's a core. That's a kaiju. I don't care. Your mom got killed by a kaiju. I hate kaiju. I am the racist kaiju." Species is
true villain.
Yeah.
No good kaiju.
Yeah.
He then goes to Kafka and he's like, "Hey, release his bonds." Everyone's like, "Oh, that'd be crazy." He's like, it's a dai kaiju. Like, he could break out of his bonds anytime. And also, "I'll murder you if you don't follow my orders." He doesn't say that directly, but that's what his eyes said. I read them.
Psycho eyes.
And he immediately, Kafka's like, "Oh, good, you understand." And he's like, bang, 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 shoots him right point blank, and then rips out his side and uses it to put blood in a test tube, and then he puts on power gloves. And
Kaiju number 2.
Yep, these are one of the weapons that Jason mentioned. It's made from Kaiju number 2, who this guy killed, and he's the only one who can use these weapons because they're so powerful and crazy. All right, this is probably a Jeremy question, but anyone can answer. In Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, the bad guy had a very similar weapon where there's like 2 rods that come out that he uses to help him punch. Is this a real weapon? This is the second time I've seen it. I always thought it was just like a made-up weird thing for Final Fantasy, but these gloves have the 2 rods that like piston. I've never seen it in real life in my life.
I've seen gimmick toy weapons or like exploring them as ideas, but I've never seen one as a real weapon.
What does it do? Does it like throw a counterweight to help you accelerate your punch, or
on
it would be closer to Black Flash.
Yeah.
Where during impact it gives more weight.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That's kind of what I figured, but like I said, I've only ever seen them once in Final Fantasy VII. I've never taken anything in Final Fantasy VII as realistic. So
yeah.
To have them show up here, I was like, wait a second. All right. He starts beating the crap out of Kafka, who's slowly having to transform to defend himself / replace himself as limbs are coming off. And then eventually does go full on, transforms into his kaiju form, and then loses control. And the Nine Tails takes over. I mean, sorry. The Hollow
Sukuna takes over.
I'm sorry. Sukuna. No. Gosh, Shonen, you might have some tropes. The kaiju takes over. We see the bug's face inside his mind. Like
This is the only other time we've seen it.
Yep.
Like we see it when it takes over him, and then here.
And he's trapped inside of his mind, like sticking out of the flesh. it's watching everything happen and being like, don't kill him. I don't want to lose control. I don't want to be this monster. But
I don't want to kill Kikuro's dad in front of her, just like her mom died.
Kikuro's watching. But yeah, the Kaiju's going for, and we get to see how powerful Kaiju number 8 can be, who's literally like ripping out its own core and throwing it so its body will be a decoy so then it can regenerate itself. It's like using clone jutsu.
Clone jutsu. Okay.
Anyway, Kaiju number 8 wins the fight, mostly.
And he gets huge, too. Like, he grows double or triple the size.
I'm like, good. At least I kind of assumed at this point he could. But I'm really glad to confirm we're definitely going to get building-sized Kaiju fights.
Mm-hmm.
Please. Before he strikes the final blow, Kafka, who got eaten by that insect's mouth thing.
That's
metaphorical.
Metaphorical. I mean, yeah.
He loses a metaphorical leg.
He's sinking into metaphorical water without metaphorical legs, and metaphorical child Mina comes and takes his metaphorical hand, and he gains control again. Gains control at the last second and punches a hole into his chest, damaging his own core, and then declares, "I'm not Kaiju number 8. I am Kafka, whatever my last name is." Hibino?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Hibino. Yeah.
The General ISO decides, okay, this guy can control it enough, and we need help because these more powerful kaiju are showing up. So we're going to use him as a weapon instead of turning him into a weapon where we can't guarantee he'll have his power and be an effective weapon. So we're going to use him until we lose him.
There was one thing that was really cool. I might have missed it because I was looking up fist, punch, glove, gun and found one, which is really cool. But there's a moment where the commander general guy believes that he's going to die, like that final punch is coming, and he says, "I had hope. Basically, I guess we're all screwed." So this whole thing was like a last-ditch effort to secure mankind's possible survival because of what they're seeing from the kaiju attacks increasing.
And again, this is another character. When we first meet him, we think he is the strict military general that once he's made a decision, that's it.
Super racist.
Kafka's dead. But he didn't go in there intending to kill Kafka. He was literally just testing him to see if he could be useful. Again,
I also don't think
good writing.
I also don't think he was going to die, or even thought he was going to die, because
he never called his buddies in.
Yeah, there's another super powerful guy about to be introduced who, right when Kaiju number 8 hits the ground from that chest wound, is like standing over him with his weapon, and he's like, no, don't do that. As in, there was always a ace up his sleeve. This guy's waiting in the wings to just slice him up.
So the question is he more powerful than 8?
I don't know how powerful he is.
Oh, okay.
I know who he is. I know his quirky personality. I don't know his full power level at all.
Is that Gen Narumi?
He also did. Oh no, I did.
Can he do I wonder if he can do 93 or 94.
Narumi.
I know, right? It is Narumi. Okay, because that's the only person on the front page of the wiki that I didn't recognize. So that makes sense.
From the manga, I remember liking this character. He's really quirky. He's really weird. He's one of those, like, he's always broke and asking his other officers for money. It's really funny.
That's a great trope.
But yeah, I don't know his full power level. I just know that he's like, hey, so the rest of the Division 3 rookies, main characters, they're all being sent to other divisions to go learn and get stronger and start their superhero internships. I mean, just train with other groups.
Sent to a different school. I mean,
yeah. And Ichikawa's like, I'm gonna get so strong and definitely not have a Sasuke arc.
Yeah, I did kind of wonder if he's gonna become a villain. There's two things that I've been wondering. One is Ichikawa going to somehow become like a converted villain into a kaiju himself or something? And then the other is Kafka going to die and become a weapon for Mina, and that's how he's by her side?
Oh, maybe in the end, I see Ichikawa either going the Sasuke route or dying early as a motivational thing for Kafka.
I see Ichikawa becoming purist and going, I know we were friends, but you are a kaiju, and I think you should die. And I think I see Kafka going the ultimate Ultraman route, where he can, become building size on a whim.
Oh yeah, he'll definitely be able to do that. One thing that was weird is that in all the images that he imagined of like standing next to Mina in the future, she was holding a glaive or a spear of some kind, not a gun at all. So part of me is like, that's not foretelling the future. That's just his childhood fantasy, or maybe it is, and she just didn't have the right kind of weapon to use in melee. I don't know, but yeah.
She's the Widowmaker of this universe. So.
Yeah.
The last scene is Kaiju number 9 playing chess online to learn human strategy.
And he's got like a full map of their base.
Yep. And he's starting some evil plan.
Yep. I really like this guy. He's great. I have figured out all of humanity's strategy.
Yeah. He's gonna like knight to queen's rook. Yes. What are you doing? That's not actually a thing in real life. You should have played Battleship.
Yes. I love this guy.
All right. That brings us to the end of the first season of Kaiju number 8. Let's do final reviews. Jason, your pick, your show.
It was good. I had a good time with it. It's definitely got its tropiness, and it's also got, some of the problems that I had already laid out. I don't feel this is a perfect shonen, but definitely worth a watch. It's a high 4 for me.
This is a really weird one because yeah, it's not perfect. I can't disagree with that. But I had so much fun with it, and I just enjoyed the fights, the music. Actually, like, I got caught up in it. That never happens to me, and it's probably just the hype of the fights that did it. But I gotta give this one a 5. Like, I really enjoyed this. So yeah, it's a 5 in my books.
Yeah, my nitpicks are still there. I don't think it's doing enough to stand out in the current shonen field in just this one season, but we'll see what comes in the future, and I think it has a lot of potential. I'm going to 4. My biggest takeaway, please, I'm not being prestigious here.
Not good as the manga.
I would never. I'm not the type of person to say that. Adaptations are hard. I don't think the manga was better. I do think I liked reading it in manga form better because, like, the story's entertaining, but I was like, oh, a half hour just to get to this plot point in an anime that's not like so awesome. I'd rather just flick through a chapter in 5 minutes and get a little bit of story and then move on, because it is a little bit light. It is a little bit, again, shallow. It's probably too harsh a word where I'm at. That I think I'm going to prefer this in manga form versus I'm going to take another half hour out of my day and watch this instead. Just where I'm at, but I'm enjoying the story regardless. I am going to read and continue on. I want to know what happens in Kaiju number 8. I just don't know if the anime is doing enough with voice acting, music. I mean, the fights are cool. I'll definitely watch the clips of the fights. Anyway, I'm at a 4. Let's go with a 4. All right, our next anime is Go Go Loser Ranger. You're a really loser ranger. I shouldn't sing. Anyway, that's our next anime. I won't sing in the next episode. I promise.
Flip that.
Yeah.
Edit that. If you have thoughts on Kaiju number 8, we'd love to hear them. Go to our website, theanimebakaclub.com. There's a contact us button. It goes straight to us. We love hearing from you. If you must, you can also reach us on our Twitter @Baka Podcast or leave a comment wherever else you found our podcast. It plays in a lot of places. We put it on YouTube. We put it on Spotify. Reviews are fun. We like those. Yeah. Let's say goodbye. In our
Thanks for listening.
In our best kaiju impersonations.
Roar?
So you're a chibi kaiju. Love
Grr.
it. Thank you, sir.
I'm so embarrassed.
You should be. Yours was the worst.